know, Bahamas Air, you know what their slogan is? If you have time to spare, take Bahamas Air. They don't even care about being an hour late. It's not even Spirit Airlines where you have the aggravated people up there at the desk frantically going around changing the time. They don't even give a shit, right? The plane's not even there yet. It's 4:30. We're supposed to take off at 4, and they still have big letters on time because they're on island time.
You're already late.
They have to put in parentheses island on island time. They don't give a flying one. I mean, there's no regard for time, whatsoever with Bahamas Air.
They still have on time. You look 45 minutes late.
There's no plane in the hangar. Nothing at the gate. And then it does arrive, sometimes airlines, they hustle, they turn the thing around pretty quickly, and you're amazed, going, wow, that's a pretty good job there. Did you make sure you have enough gas to get to Cleveland?
Yeah, exactly.
They pull in, they're already an hour late. We'll take another hour. Why don't you guys go to the bar and have a Bahama Mama? A couple of maraschino cherries thrown in there right on the top there with some foam and some whipped cream. They don't care. If you have time to spare, fly Bahamas Air. I believe that is their marketing slogan.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning on what turned out to be the aftermath of a very frustrating day yesterday. Jeff DeForest and, of course, Mike Lubitz. Things starting to come around. The voice is getting a little bit stronger, so that's nice.
Yes.
And yet, in spite of all of my efforts, now think about this. I don't know what the vast size of this audience is. South Florida Live and our various other outlets, 5 Reasons Sports Network and Believe Podcasts, all of these different places that we're broadcasting right now. And then the Let's Eat South Florida group with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox, 94,000 people right here in our area have access to that show. It seems to draw anywhere from 500 to 1,000, maybe even above that, views per day from the people on Facebook.
Yes.
Not one unscrupulous lawyer, personal injury variety, that was willing to take on the gigantic
I forgot about it.
conglomerate that Atlantis in the Bahamas is.
You were still waiting.
Now, we're not suing Bahamas Air for anxiety over the late flight. That would be a very tough case to prove, right? And what would the judge's ultimate disposition be? Yeah, shit happens, right?
Yes.
But in this case, no clear-cut warning. The Forest rocking around with a broken toe now, out 4 to 6 weeks. It's creating a lot of personal anxiety for me.
Okay.
Because I was on a nice pattern of, physical and mental behavior. And, maybe financially it was a little bit of a disaster, but that's going to turn around. But everything was going great. And I had an epiphany as I was doing my walk of life before I broke my toe in the water there, saying, wow, you know what? This is going to be the year I go all in. Everything is going to be, brought around to the point where I'm living my ultimate life as best I can. I don't know that I'm going to do as well as Jim Larinaga is in his early 70s. My God. That was great, but not one taker, not one personal injury guy is willing to take on Atlantis. Come on.
No.
Not one guy.
No, I can check the Facebook. I don't think we have
Every ad you see on TV is for a personal injury guy. There is one after another, right? The guy with his dogs in the car.
Our guy Jared has a billboard now all over the highway.
A Fenster Shipe guy that committed suicide. His kids now are running the business. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? You got 411 Pain. Maybe I should call them. Hey, would that be the move?
Yes.
No, I don't know. The case itself would be a little bit flimsy, but it's a legitimate case, right? I think there was negligence on the part of Atlantis for not issuing some kind of a warning or at least marking off this area where they had literally a cliff of rocks in the water. Mm. And, the fact that it's happened to many people now, maybe with a little less severity than me, and I don't know. Would people laugh a broken toe? Would that be one of those things where the jury just says, "Go fuck yourself"? What do you think?
I mean, if it does get infected, and
what if it has to be chopped off ultimately? I mean, Dr. Jerry didn't bring up that possibility when I saw him, but he had a scalpel he was sharpening as I was in his office there. That's a death chair when a guy's working on your foot, isn't it? Because there's really nothing you can do. All you can do is hang on, and they should strap you in, when they do that. I mean, and especially if it's very sensitive, like mine happened to be, where and This guy's a doctor. He's used to working in these kind of situations. Hell, he was going to do his surgery right after he saw me.
Oh,
So,
sure.
I mean, it doesn't faze him to think about cutting off like 5 toes. But, there's nothing you can do. You want to hit the guy in the face as he's working on your foot. Stop! All right, I'm going to survive. I'll be okay. You'll see the funky little shoe. I'm going to try and make it around today to
Nice.
even kill fish shack. I have a couple of things I have to do, so there's no avoiding it. I did try a little bit of an adventure with the funny shoe yesterday,
Okay.
and it's all right. It's okay. People have very little sympathy for you, though. I was in Publix, so I had to change up my diet because I'm not doing any exercise. So and today, maybe I need Andy to be a consultant here. Might be time to hit the gym, right? Do something in there.
Okay.
What do you think, Libby?
Go for it.
Doesn't do it for me. I was never like a guy that liked lifting weights or any of this kind of stuff. But and I don't like stationary bicycles and machines. I just like to get out there in nature and do my thing, right? If I could run the 4 miles, I would do it. But that's off the table. And so walking 4 miles is a good thing, right? Nice, easy. One
That's
foot in
good.
front of the other. You don't have to worry. You're going for about an hour and a half, maybe, and everything's great, right? Come back, suck down a Budweiser, and good to go, right? You want to eat like something that has quite a few calories in it. Don't even have to think about it, right? You're already schwitzed it out of your system. But a lot of adjustments to be made here. 4 to 6 weeks on IR, and no attorneys willing to take my case and take up the cost. All right, the basketball game was great. Did you watch any of it? ACC Network last night, and it came on the heels of a Duke loss. And so, I tuned into the game. I saw it started at 8:30. I tuned in 8:30. I figure I'll watch this game maybe start to finish as much as I can. And there's Duke against Wake Forest, and they're going down. And they're going down hard. Unbelievable. So that was great. And then Jim Larinaga's team gets off to a hot start, man. They skated right out of the chute and put it on Virginia. Virginia,
Yes.
not a high-scoring team, although they're scoring more this year, as you alluded to yesterday, Michael.
Yes.
And so, you thought, okay, well, this certainly isn't in the bag. And then it's always weird, right, when a team's on fire and they're up like 12-2 early in the game, and then they miss a couple of opportunities at their end. The other team comes down, hits 2 threes, and guess what? Boom, they're right back in the game. But the Canes controlled this game the entire time. This would have been, you remember this big John Tate, Mike Weaver fight many, many years ago, where, and these were, 15 rounders back then. John Tate, who was an Olympian and was a heavyweight champion, wins I think it was a 15 round. It might have been 12. But he wins every second of every round until the last second of the last round when he gets knocked out.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
I mean, go back and watch this fight. Tate is dominating the entire time. Mike Weaver, Iron Mike Weaver, Hercules Mike Weaver, I guess it was. Iron Mike was Tyson. And Weaver was a very popular guy because he was a Marine, but he had one of those weird records that you see usually from the pasty guy, comes in from the Midwest to take a beating from the promoter's fighter, the house fighter. It used to happen all the time when I was doing those fights at the Hard Rock, where, you had a guy from Puerto Rico that was managed by the team there that was putting on the show, Warriors Boxing. And that guy would be 17-0. And then the guy who was fighting would be 14-16. And come in and hailing from Oklahoma City. Man, they really had to go into the bowels of the country to dig up this stiff. What graveyard did they go to find this guy? It's kind of like looking at Canelo Alvarez opponents, for the early portion of his career, that you're expecting, right? You're expecting that guy to get knocked out somewhere early in the fight. And Weaver was that guy. He had a record like that. He was like 36-12 or something.
I always love that.
Yeah.
When they're 18-9.
It's not always, a condemning, statistic in boxing, but usually if you have any ability, you're probably going to, fatten up that record early on. So, you'll see guys 17-1, 18-2. But you rarely see a guy with double-digit losses that really makes any impact in the game, especially late in his career. And Weaver knocked this guy out with like 1 second to go in the final round. And that was the only punch he landed in the entire fight, and it was the only time that he ever had an advantage. Now, this happens in basketball. It's not as uncommon, and it's happening in football, actually, where a team never leads the entire game except in the final outcome.
Yes.
And that almost happened to the Canes last night. Same thing happened to them when they played Cornell. right? Where they were up like 50 points early and ended up winning 107-105. So they got to 12-1. They had a 10-point lead with a minute to go. Holy Joe Zagacki. I think I saw Zagacki on the TV there. I didn't get to see whether or not he was freaking out as he was doing a game on the radio. And I started thinking this too, because I love radio. I always did. I grew up listening to games on the radio. You had the transistor, under the pillow there, and you were listening to late night games. You were picking up by some phantom signal from the West Coast. This was before all of this was regulated. And, they had to power down and do things like that. They used to get a lot of crisscross, and it was great, right? You'd pick up a Red Sox game. I was just such a huge baseball fan. And you'd be listening to, like, the Mets playing the San Francisco Giants on the road. Your mother was sneaking by like the Gestapo there. And I think, Jeff, are you going to go to bed? Jeff. And this predated having a little. Well, I know you had the earpiece then that you could listen to it quietly, but I enjoyed just listening to my little transistor. I still have my mother's right here hanging from what is a jockey lamp.
That's funny.
Only I would have a jockey lamp. No, that looks like an equestrian guy on that horse. But it was one of those games where as you got into the trade of foul shots, the Canes were actually making most of their foul shots. They were making clutch free throws, but somehow managed to get themselves in a situation where at the very end, had Virginia come down and hoisted a three and a miracle shot goes in, they had about 4 seconds to work with. That would have been the only time they led in the entire ball.
Jesus.
Outside of maybe, I don't know if they got the first basket. I think they did. Might have been 2-0, and that was their only other lead.
Yeah.
So that would have been a shame. I mean, to piss that one away, that would have been really, really ugly because the Canes performed very, very well in the game. Not a big team. They don't have a lot of size, but, man, they hustle. And Larinaga laying some pretty serious man-to-man defense on Virginia in the game last night. And they played that very tough, except in a few spots, especially late in the game where they didn't want to foul anybody. But it's one thing not to want to foul a guy. At the same time, you can't just let guys waltz in for layups and continue to cut like 4-point leads down to 2 or 6-point leads down to 4. I mean, you just don't want to let the guy waltz in there and go unimpeded to the basket. But that happened a few times, and they had to go down, make the free throws. They missed a couple, and yet still held a 4-point margin with about, I want to say, 7-8 seconds to go, 4 points up. And Isaiah Wong, who was arguably their best player.
Their player, yep.
Fouled some schmake who was in desperation mode trying to hoist up a 3 points and then come from the free throw line. All of a sudden, the Canes are only up 1 with 5.6 seconds to go in the game. How Larinaga doesn't have a heart attack on these things. We asked him about that at one time, right? Like, does he lose sleep over missed free throws? And I forget what his answer was. It was pretty clever, but he was talking about the various nightmares that coaches have to live with. And that would have been one of them. To lose that game would have been a disaster because you really controlled it against the number 6 team in the country, coming in as number 22, and just getting recognition for what they're doing, getting off to a 12-1 start. So very nice job there by the Hurricanes. Sonia was right. I mean, there were 3 events in town that were all of some significance. You managed to make the Boca Bowl of significance to you. I can't believe $100 went up in smoke on you, Lubie.
Fucking kicker.
Because of a kicker, yeah.
Honestly, because of a kicker. Because if he makes, and I know you're not wrong, like, well, if he made them, what would be different? They would have won by more. Like, they were gimme kicks, and the scores they had would have happened regardless. I dabbled in degeneracy yesterday. It did make the bowl season so much more interesting. And
those games would have been of zero value to anybody except the parents of the players on the team and the coaches who would soon be leaving these schools because they won a ball game and demanding huge contracts and then pointing at Jimbo Fisher. He must be that. You know what? If I was negotiating for a coach, if I was an agent for, all I would do is I would hold up a picture of Jimbo Fisher and say, if this guy's worth $700 million, what do you want to pay my guy? Huh? You can offer me that? That's an insult. Got to be kidding me. Jimbo's the albatross now at Texas A&M, is he not? He's just hovering over this program. I mean, they can't get rid of him.
And the buyouts.
All these great recruiting classes, and this is one of your favorite days also. So wait a minute. So what happened? You had Toledo on the money line? Because Liberty covered the point spread, but they lost
Liberty on the money line. I had
Liberty on the money line.
On the money line, and they got down early, but stormed back and won rather easily, and that was wonderful. And then the night game was Liberty and Toledo. So Ken had already done a parlay of it. I rolled over my winnings because I was like, "What am I gonna?" I put $25. What I'm gonna do? Take out 40? I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So
Yeah.
I was planning on just keeping it with him rolling it over to whatever bowl. And he's like, "You sure you don't want to do it tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, but weren't you a little weary about Liberty? You said they're banged up." He's like, "Yeah, but the money line's interesting." I was like, "All right, screw it." so it was back and forth. It was a good game, and the kicker happened to miss a 30-yard field goal and an extra point within that game.
Oh,
And
that's 4 points right there. Wow, and they lost by 2. My God. That guy should not be allowed to play NCAA football after that.
It was a bullshit kicks. The weather was fine. Like there was.
That was raining, wasn't it? Wasn't it pouring out there?
I don't know. When I watched the game, they looked fine. The other kicker had no problem making his kicks. I'll tell you that.
No. I kind of lost interest in that game because it looked like I had Liberty getting 3 and a hook. And my new, mantra for life is give me liberty and 3.5 or give me death. What was that? Nathan Hale, man? What was he talking about, Hale? He was a traitor, this guy. Give me liberty or give me death. He has one of the famous quotes of all time. Nathan Hale, right? Didn't he say that? Give me liberty or give me death. So they gave him death.
Yeah, exactly.
They hung the motherfucker right after he said that.
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry. Okay.
Patrick Henry. And I think he actually was someone worth revering.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I mean, it's a better story with Nathan Hale. What did Nathan Hale say? I think Nathan Hale just said, "Go fuck yourself," as they put a blindfold in gave him the last drag of a cigarette. And I was actually in the other game, having booked my friend's action in that game, which was the only reason I had any interest in it. I thought I had Eastern Michigan. I forgot to look at the guy's text again and see what side I had, and so it was looking horrible. And then all of a sudden, I turn away. I come back. They're up like 3 touchdowns. And I thought, wow, this is great. What a nice turnaround. My friend is on an ugly roll, the likes of which I've never seen. I'll just ride this out, and who knows how many thousands I'm going to collect at the end of the season. Although he does like to go double or nothing on the Super Bowl, and then he gets his choice, which is going to be comprised of what 2 teams, Lubie, late in the season?
Niners, Chiefs.
Foreseer of truth.
What do you think? Now, Niners, Chiefs. I would say
Niners,
Patrick Mahomes.
Chiefs.
That's what I would say.
Well, for some reason, I'm going to say neither of those 2 teams. I don't know who it's going to be, but now that you put Niners, Chiefs out there, which would be somewhat common wisdom, I'm going to say neither. We should make a little wager on that.
Sure, I'm down.
It's not out of the question, right? Everybody thinks the Chiefs are the best team. The Chiefs are the worst team in the league against the spread.
I just think they're screwing around. Like, I think it's very much like Georgia or in the past the Warriors, where they're so good. They're like, it's annoying for gamblers because you can't ever put money on them.
Well, no, it's an annuity every week. I mean, I guess that would be a week. What would a weekly payment be, right? Rent. Every week they lose to the spread, and then the spreads are enormous, right? They were laying 14 or something like that against the Houston Texans. They're in overtime. You're almost a lock from about the midway point of the second quarter in these Chiefs games if you're betting against them. It's been pretty consistent all year long. I think they were 3-8, and they lost like their next 2. 3-8-1. They lost their next 2 to the spread, even though they won the ball game. So they're like 3-10-1, I think, against the spread in 14 games. The Kansas City Chiefs.
And here's another week, an almost double-digit spread against the Seahawks that are flirting with the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, see, I always feel this way, that the minute I get in on a trend, I'm going to get in on it late.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Witness, let's circle back to 2008, Louie. Everybody's making money in real estate. You could buy a pre-construction thing that never even got built and flip it before they even laid down the first brick of the foundation and make yourself $100,000 like real quick, right? So what do? I had some money at the time. I go out and I buy 2 pre-construction properties. One never got built. I lost like $70,000 in that one. And the other one, I might have made out okay because I ended up stiffing the bank there and just letting them take the place. But and I don't know what it would be worth today. I mean, my brother was in real estate. He was very successful in it. And just like time heals all wounds in relationships and emotional crises, time heals all wounds in real estate. Mm-hmm. If you can hang in there. But you have to be able to, play the game for a long, long time. Yes. Now, the one thing never just got off the ground, right? The developer ran off with everybody's money, and that was it.
Nice.
Yeah, he was smoking cigars with Gurgley in the Maldives. like Bankman Freud or whatever the guy's name is. Freed. How bad must that? I'm glad I didn't get popped in Nassau, man. I wouldn't have wanted to go to that jail. Imagine this: the guy's got it made in the shade, right? He owns the Bahamian officials, which I would think, they might be inclined to a little bit of corruption. No, I don't want to make any, assertions and cast aspersions on our Bahamian friends because I know we have a lot of fans in the Bahamas also, which was always kind of unique to find.
Yep.
But let's face it. From a government standpoint, would you think you might be able to get away with a few things if you had a few $1 billion, Libby?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? The islands? Please.
The islands. This is where they go to stash money. I mean, the guy stashed himself down there.
Yes.
He's under investigation and, pending indictments from virtually every legal authority in the world, except in the Bahamas, where they actually issued a warning where he goes in the water and said, watch out. Rocks.
Exactly. He actually gets the warning.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean that must be some horrid conditions in there, right? If this guy agreed to be extradited to the States, where he's going down. I mean, there's just no chance, right? They already had his girlfriend ratting him out in New York, and that's the first sign that guess what, you're not getting out of this one easily.
Yeah.
They worked on that case pretty quickly. How come it's taking so long to nail down the Trumpster? With all of this stuff.
Because he's literally the Teflon Don. It's the weirdest fucking thing. He's not even a good criminal. He's like the most obvious criminal ever.
Yeah.
But no one wants to put him away. Like I don't understand it. He's not even like slick. Like everything he does is massively drenched in crime. And
He's standing on a podium with a bunch of other radical losers, and he's saying like he was Blutarski, organizing the raid on the parade there at Faber College, and let's go to the Capitol building, right? And they all go running and following. I guess if that doesn't constitute inciting a riot, I don't know what does. All right, we don't want to get too far off track here. So Jim Larrañaga, good job. I didn't realize this about Larrañaga. I sort of knew this, but they had a picture of Larrañaga as an assistant coach with Terry Holland at Virginia. And guess who was playing on that team? One Ralph Sampson.
Oh my God, he was an assistant on the Sampson team. Geez, good for him.
Assistant on, I don't think we ever asked him about Ralph Sampson.
Oh no, I didn't know that. He's had enough of a heralded career as a head coach that we've never. He brings up his days as an assistant. We've never really talked about it. We haven't needed to. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if we'd had more time, it would have been nice to have researched that before we had him on the air the other day. But, I don't know. Research doesn't consist of much anymore, right? You stumble on Google on the Wikipedia page. But they did have a picture of a young Jim Larrañaga as an assistant for Terry Holland. They were talking about, the ties between Virginia and the University of Miami team. And it was very nice yesterday. Miami, on the back of their warm-up jackets, had a Virginia strong, UVA strong, in honor and out of respect to the football players who unfortunately were shot by a guy who had obviously lost his mind and yet had no problem purchasing weapons and doing whatever there. And, very, very sad story. But those kids all look like really good. You talk about the All About the Kids thing. Tony Segreto is going to join us later on. They really looked, from their profile pictures, I don't know much about them. One kid was a local kid. But they look like the kind of guys you would say, wow, this is what college athletics is supposed to be, right? Not talking about the University of Florida, where they, peruse various penitentiaries and try to figure out who's going to be out on work release soon. Oh, would you like a scholarship? Oh, yeah. An English major, huh? Shakespeare, your bag? Okay.
English major.
Was Aaron Hernandez in British literature classes or anything?
Remember
what was he taking?
He committed suicide.
I know he's done, but
Yeah.
What do you think he was taking as course material there at the University of Florida?
Florida.
A fine academic institution, which most kids in Florida can't get into because it's the highest of the standards of the state schools, right? I mean, isn't that the pecking order? You can't get into Florida. You try Florida State. If you can't get in there, guess what's open? University of Central Florida. I would be tempted to go to Gulf Coast. Would not have been the place to go. I think the ratio is, and that was the only thing I used as a criteria to go to school. I ended up at the Cuse there, but when I was checking various schools to apply to, the only stat that was worthy of any consideration was the ratio of women to men. Did you, in the Barron's Guide, did you ever look at that thing? The
Oh
Barron's
no, I
Guide
mean,
to
I had a
universities?
girlfriend. I said I had a girlfriend my senior year, and we're still friends to this day. She's gone on, beautiful family, and
Nice.
that was the joke because it was Tallahassee, and Tallahassee had Florida State, and this is prime Florida. This is when Florida State was just coming out of. They were number one party school every year, so the school hated it. So they literally put in rules, and because everything used to be open till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning until my year, and then they made everything open till 2, made it like an LA kind of a thing. So, but you had all the news from what was going on when I was a senior. So, like Florida State was 4-1, TCC
4-to-1 ratio? Get out of
yes,
here.
TCC
Women to men?
was like 3-1, and FAM was like 4-1. So it was like 11-3. And I would always tell my girlfriend, I mean, I love you, but you know,
It's not happening, man. You don't want to be fighting attached when you get to your freshman year of college. My God.
Yeah.
Registration was like a Heidi Fleiss pool party for me.
Yes.
It really was.
Florida State. I mean, I don't know. QC, you guys had like 6 months of cold, so I don't know how the hell you do it.
Well, it was a strategy. I actually just texted Leslie Visser about that because she was mentioning something about the Qs. Oh, we were talking about the cold weather in the
Boston,
Buffalo
BC had to
game.
be pretty cold.
And Boston's cold, but it wasn't like Syracuse.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, that was almost like going to Antarctica. It really was. It's hard to explain. I'm not sure if it was like some mountain passage or something. I don't know what it was, but that particular corridor of the country, I guess, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and then it kind of tailed off as you got east of Syracuse and even south. I mean, it wasn't as bad in some of these other places, but it really was horrific. Absolutely insane. But you would go to registration in the fall, and you would hit on every chick that even came near you. All right, every single one. All right, you would try to make some kind of acquaintance, and then you had to find somebody that you could literally shack up with for the winter, because it was unlikely. Well, and people were unrecognizable. Like how Tallahassee there, you're on the quad, you're crossing, you got a little puppy on a rope. You're carrying like a couple of heavyweight philosophers' books under your arm there, as if you were actually reading them. Yeah. And everybody you see, you throw them a frisbee. Hey, how you doing, sweetheart? Q's, you couldn't recognize anybody. You were more inclined to think, hey, is that a dead body? I'm thinking about carving off a piece of flesh because I can't get to the cafeteria. What are you talking about? They're serving pizza tonight. It was that bad. I mean, it really was.
Oh, my God.
The truth is, you can get used to anything. You can acclimate yourself to almost anything, which I'm trying to do right now with this verbal Kent walk that I've been exhibiting here. And everything's going very slowly, but you have to snap out of it. I mentioned this yesterday on the Lunchbox show. Norm Kent, a longtime radio personality, I guess mostly associated with the Neil Rogers show, as he was Neil's negotiating agent and attorney. And a real good guy. He was a public defender. I think he was a head public defender here in Broward County for a while. So he had noble pursuits and interests. And turns out just to be a great guy, real baseball fan. Brain cancer, man. They're removing parts of his brain. And he had posted up. I mean, the guy literally is in a wheelchair on a ski lift.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and he said that the doctors told him, no matter what, don't just vegetate in bed. And we're all doing that to a certain extent here, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't do anything. That's what's so funny. I look at your life. We go on these trips, but when we're here, we don't do anything. Like we work, both of us, Shirley and I, and then the weekends we just, like, it's so funny. Like, I'm like, what are we doing?
You got to get out there, kid.
There's such a world out there, especially here. There's so much going on.
I have to admit, I've slowed down from my previous pace, which was frantic, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, you want to get out there, right? I don't care what kind of day it is. It's better than, when you're sitting there feeling sorry for yourself or just putzing around. That's no good. So Norm Ken, an inspiration. I'll give him Inspiration Award because he actually is. And we saw him. Look, he came to that Wicked Cheesesteak remote that we did. Remember that day? What was that? A couple of Fridays ago? When we went to a Wicked Cheesesteak on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show. And I saw a guy. I didn't recognize him as Norm Kent. I saw a guy just really, feebly struggling to get from the car. And they have like a real high curb there. And, he had to go all the way down to where they had like handicap access. And barely seemed to make it into the chair. And this is a far cry from it. You know what? If you keep your spirits up, you can overcome a lot of stuff. I really believe that.
Well, speaking of this,
Yeah.
seeing the green, the news just broke that Franco Harris has passed. So I feel
Oh,
we
geez.
should at least discuss it, even though it's sad in the middle of you talking about season.
Immaculate reception. I was watching the game.
No, it was an anniversary of, I think, the catch is it 50
Might have
years?
been the 50th anniversary, right? Was it 72 that happened in? Something like that?
Oh, would that be a year the Dolphins won? That wouldn't have been a year.
No, oh yeah, the Dolphins won. No, the Dolphins were in the Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, that was a perfect season.
The
Okay.
Dolphins won both years, so that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, I don't know. It's some anniversary. Maybe it's 40. I don't know when the fuck it happened, but
Yeah.
it was some anniversary.
That's too bad, right? And we
Maybe
had run
he's
into
sick.
Franco Harris many times on those radio rows.
We
He
did.
was always a real
did.
gentleman and very distinguished, well respected by everybody. Those were some fabled Steeler teams,
Oh, Jesus.
just tremendous with Bradshaw and company and Franco Harris, Rocky Blyer, who we got to know a little bit. Vietnam veteran, comes out of Vietnam and is running 3-yard plunges for the Pittsburgh Steelers. While Franco was the guy that was kind of versatile and capable of doing things. And he had that from my old neighborhood, Joey Vanetta quality, where, he could carry 6 guys on his back.
Yep.
Immaculate reception was something, huh? That was, out of nowhere. You're looking, go, wait a minute. He's got the ball. He's going forward. This was like, a bizarre, like,
that was without
boomerang
replay,
shot.
too.
Yeah, it wasn't like a pretty thing like the hook and lateral that Tony Nathan ran when he was with the Dolphins there in that San Diego Chargers game many, many years ago at the Orange Bowl. Another classic. I mean, this was a fluke. Where what? Did the ball bounce off a guy's helmet?
Yes. Bounced off a defender and went right to him.
As he's going forward, yeah, and in the clear, and turn the ball game around. That was fantastic. Also, boxing, unfortunately, and I knew this guy a little bit. I'd worked a couple of shows with him, and spent some time talking to. We know Mills Lane checked out,
Yep.
who was a fabled referee, lesser known but just as prominent in the boxing game. Was Steve Smoger out of New Jersey,
You
Double
talk
S.
about Smoger all the time. He passed? Oh, you talk about Smoger all
He
the
just
time.
checked out, yeah, Steve Smoger.
Oh, Jesus.
You would know him if you saw him. I don't know. We can't put an image up of him. We're going to have to get into a little bit of production here in the future. Hopefully, with this new Big Jack enterprise that we're going to enter into, we can add in a few touches here on the show, which will only enhance the entertainment quotient that we're trying to accomplish here. But and he was known as Let 'Em Bleed, Steve Smoger. Brutal wars, would be taking place. He may have refereed. I don't want to go out on a limb and say this, but I would imagine it's a strong possibility that he refereed in Atlantic City Gotti Ward and a lot of Arturo Gotti fights, because only the most lenient in terms of allowing a guy to absorb punishment of officials could have possibly let Arturo Gotti get out of the second round. So he was getting hit like, he's being clubbed in a Ray Donovan scene. And go get the bat, Ray. How was it that Ray had a little bit of Ray Donovan had a little bit of Superman quality in him, didn't he? Because guys would have like 8 machine guns pointed at him, and he goes to his trunk and gets a Louisville Slugger and wins.
And he would win it easy.
Did the guy who wrote that script? They were fascinating. The script and the storylines are absolutely amazing. Some of the things that are on TV, and you look at the storylines and the way they're produced, pretty incredible, even if you don't have any great interest in the subject. This George and Tammy thing, have you been watching that?
No, what is that?
Not Harry and Meghan. I watched a few minutes of that, and I started
My
a
wife's
few.
watching Harry and Meghan. I can't get into that. The whole thing annoys me. I don't understand. I still don't understand their system at all, and I don't feel bad for these people. And I don't know if I'm supposed to.
Whining after the fact is really, isn't it the worst? It's like a guy comes up to you at the track after he just lost a race. You're buried, right? You're down 400. The last thing you want to hear about is some guy, oh, my God, I left out the 3.
Pretty much.
And then he's got the ticket, and he just ate like an onion sandwich, and he's right in your face. No, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. All you care about is yourself.
Honestly,
I certainly don't give a flying on about your losing tickets, Leaper.
Stupid.
Unbelievable. But yeah, whining after the fact. That's what degenerate losers do, right?
100%.
Andy, am I right about that? We whine after the fact.
Definitely.
Even when we win. Oh, I could have had to try.
Well, obviously, what do you mean? Mayo does it every time. Mayo will win.
He kind of, definitely centers his entire existence around finding a sort of, and yet he's a happy guy. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Seems like a happy guy. He's doing a lot of good things. But after the race is over, he wins 800. He goes, "Oh my God, should have been 8,000." Like, okay, Mike, give me 400 of the 800 then, since you're so depressed, and I'll see if I can't make something happen with that. Can't believe you went down on a parlay last night, Lubie.
I did.
A
But here, by
parlay.
the way, for those of you who are boxing fans, this is him, Steve Smoger.
Steve Smoger, yeah, double S,
I
out
love
of
the
New Jersey. I worked a fight with him in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands there one day. You talk about a haphazard operation that was, right? And the guy that was the promoter is this Russian guy who was the man who discovered Manny Pacquiao. And he owns a company called Samson Boxing. His first name is Samson. His last name is indecipherable. You would need Steve Goldie Goldstein to figure out how to pronounce this guy's last name. But you see him in the ring all the time. He's very, very prominent in the game. This guy, Samson Kovacevic, or whatever his name is. And I've never seen anything like it. They assigned a color man, but you're thinking there's a little bit of greasage going on in the islands. The color man happened to be the governor of St. Thomas or whatever, or some congressman who had never done any boxing on TV. And the guy was horrendous. So I'm trying to work around this guy. And then Samson, who has all the money in the world, right? He discovered Manny Pacquiao, a couple of other fighters that were of tremendous significance. He's brought along. He has that guy now, the Towering Inferno. Have you seen this kid? He's like 135 pounds, but he's 6'8". And he's tough. I mean, tough as nails. He takes a punch, he gets in there, he mixes it up. You would think he would just be jab, 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 stay on the outside, dance around a little bit, and look like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there. But no, I mean, gets right in there and starts throwing like heavy blows. So he's brought a lot of good fighters on, but somehow the money was always short, and there was nothing you could do about it. Because a lot of these gigs that I used to take, especially on a freelance basis, you don't know if you're getting paid. You really don't. I mean, it's kind of like being a musician and the club owner's gone, and you're at Bob's Country Bunker. So yeah, the guy Samson, he paid me like 3/4 of what I was supposed to get, and I said, "What about the money we discussed?" He said, "That's off the table right now. You can see nobody came to the fight." Like, all right, what am I going to do? All right, I had a couple of days free in St. Thomas. I remember, and that was who was the quarterback for the Canes? Young black quarterback who Ja'Cory
For the Canes, Ja'Cory Harris.
Harris, yeah,
From Northwestern.
I remember it was early in the hurricane season that year, and it was like the second game. They were playing some big school. Ja'Cory Harris was supposed to be the real deal. It was pouring rain at the ball game in Miami. I'm watching from the Bahamas on a scratchy TV. It looked like it was taken from a fire sale at a Motel 6 in Tucson, Arizona, and they shipped it down there. So scratchy reception, and Harris had like a horrible game, and I thought, wow, they were wrong about this kid, Ja'Cory Harris, who everybody thought was going to be another one in the long line of just to use the euphemism there, even though he's a black young man, great white hopes, right? Because all of these quarterbacks essentially were great white hopes. It was Dwayne Bobbitt, right, with a big black guy coming out of the fight and going, "Sorry, I disappointed my fans. I let the United States of America down." Said, "Nah, the trouble was you really weren't all that good to begin with, Dwayne. I mean, it's unfortunate, right?" Jerry Looney Cooney, right? Same thing. Although, who was better? There's a good one among stiffs and great white hopes. Jerry Cooney, Dwayne Bobbitt. Who else did we have? We had a couple of others. Jerry Quarry was in that mode for a while, although, wow, nobody took more beatings than that cat. That's why they had to take, ESPN's classic channel off the air, because people were protesting the number of beatings that they showed. I mean, every night they had Jerry Quarry getting the shit knocked out of him. Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali. I mean, one night after another. Okay, let's see Jerry Quarry take a beating here. Sports Center coming up next. That was some innovative programming there. All right, so you lose on Liberty on the money line. That's unfortunate. This used to be a big deal. Speaking of Joe Zagacki, nobody was more into it than Joe back in the days at WIOD. National Letter of Intent Signing Day.
Today's the early day. There's still the one in February, but
nobody cares about that one.
It's become null and void. I mean, between now and then, you'll have more guys bop into the transfer. So the transfer portal thing will matter more than the second signing day. Today's a big thing. Big deal.
Yeah. I mean, how many people does Nick have to glad hand to lure some of these recruits that have been committed since birth to certain schools? And then at the last second, they end up opting to go to Alabama. What do you think's involved there?
I mean, that one's impressive because Proctor, who by some is considered the best offensive lineman in the country or the second best, the Canes, the one they got, Maugoa, I don't know how to pronounce it, out of IMG. It depends. But he's a top 10 player in the country. Iowa is known for their linemen. That's one thing. If you go there, you're going to be in the NFL. You're going to play at a high level. You're going to make some money. He's been committed for like a year, if not longer, to Iowa. Bama
if you were a wrestler, you would want to go to Iowa.
Yeah.
And, if you were a lineman, you'd want to go to Iowa.
Tight end, lineman, wrestler. 100%.
Well, Alabama, though, has its share of linemen in the NFL, that's for sure. But they're like can't-miss prospects, these guys.
They give the show everything.
Yeah.
But Alabama, out of nowhere, they missed out on the kid the Canes got last week, and they're like, all right.
What hillbilly owns all of the car dealerships in Tuscaloosa? I would imagine he's on the hook for that kid's salary, no? What do you think? I like the fact that the amateur sport is more out of control from a professional standpoint in terms of how all of this money is being generated now. I mean, it's actually more psychotic than it was when they were just paying kids under the table, no?
No, obviously. Yeah, now it's free. Now they're allowed to do it. It's insane. Yeah. Of course.
And more people are involved, right? Because it's no longer, money that's being, put out there under the old dirty laundry system.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there were probably inequities at Syracuse. We used to get from being on a baseball team $15 a month.
Oh, there you go.
It was called laundry money. Okay. You got $3 a game when you went on the road, and $15 a month came every month. And that wasn't bad. It was probably like picking up 150. For a college kid at that time, because I mean, you could get by on $15 for a couple of, with my drug habit, it was probably a little bit difficult. But then weed was like $10 a bag for like a giant bag of like Acapulco Gold in that particular era. No wonder we had so much fun. But you don't think that they were doing the laundry money like when they came along and here was like a guy like a superstar basketball player recruit like Dennis Duval was. When he came out of New York City, Long Island, and all of a sudden he goes to Syracuse. They were just getting their whole run started there. He was part of that whole movement there in the early '70s when they came into prominence. You don't think that he was getting more than the 15 when the guy handed him the envelope?
100%.
Me, I got a 10 and a 5 my whole freshman and sophomore year.
At least you got it, I guess.
Actually, the $3 road money, especially if you didn't play, was a nice consideration. I thought. I was shocked too when a guy came on like the first time they started giving the money out, and I asked my buddy. I said, "What's this?" He goes, "It's like your day's stipend. It's meal money." I'm like, "Yeah, really? Wow. That'll buy you like 300 burgers."
You say back then a burger was like 5 cents.
10 cents. Yeah, it was unbelievable. All right. Many other things happening. All right. We have the NFL. Jets get underway tomorrow with the Thursday night game. The Jets 1-point favorites over the Jaguars. Jaguars are a tough team to gauge. What do you think? I mean, they're coming off a win. Surprising win, right? Didn't they beat the Cowboys on a fluke play at the end of or in overtime?
They went from 17 down to then beat the Cowboys.
Trevor Lawrence shows some promise. Doug Peterson, obviously a much more level-headed coach than his predecessor as the head coach, Urban Meyer, who has Meyer surfaced anywhere? Is he doing that lame, comatose broadcasting?
Big Ten, yeah. He does Fox, big game, Saturday.
Is he a color analyst? I mean, is he actually in the booth?
I don't think he does that. I think they're smart enough to leave him out of the booth, but he does this thing with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart.
It's not like listening to Rick Pitino talk about basketball. Hearing Urban Meyer analyze football, is it? I mean, Sarney would know better than I would because I see Urban Meyer, I immediately turn it off.
No, he's horrendous.
And we can't look at Brady Quinn in the eye anymore. I mean,
Brady Quinn's the other one. Yeah, they're horrendous. They're all horrendous.
Jesse Palmer. I mean, he seems okay, actually. And then you have to figure, he has a wedding ring on, but how many babes would he be banging while hosting The Bachelorette? Hello? Handsome kid was on Good Morning America. Now he's taken over for, what was the guy's name? Chris Harrison.
Chris Harrison, your favorite.
I loved Harrison. Nobody could sell
So
drama like Chris Harrison, and feign
he gave a
emotional involvement.
shit. Like he gave a shit.
He didn't give a flying one, man. And let's face it, like millions of people are tuned in on TV, right? It was the old, joke about how the producer would say in your ear just before you're about to utter your first word on a live telecast, and he says, "Okay, Defo, it's yours, and don't worry about the millions of people that are viewing you right now." All of a sudden, the schwitz starts to go, and it's dripping. And you look like Martin Short in that, routine. That was great when he has a cigarette and he's like having a nervous breakdown on the David Susskind show. Already, they got him like silhouetted. Yeah, I mean, epitome of cool, right? I mean, Chris Harrison, a zillion people tuned in to see what kind of trash these women were going to talk about the other gorgeous babes that were on the show. Meanwhile, this clown that has really nothing to offer any of them he's banged all 36 of them. 100%. Incredible. And Harrison was on the pile too, apparently.
God.
How quickly did they settle that case when Harrison said he was going to spill the beans as to what went on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette all those years?
Exactly.
So, but to hold up under that pressure, right, where you got like 50 million people and just be smooth as silk. He really was. And you know what his television background was? TVG.
Oh, TVG.
He was on the horse racing channel.
Of course.
Todd Schrupp could be hosting The Bachelorette. It's possible. Anyway, Jesse Palmer's on that. So, I mean, does that damage his credibility as a football guy? I don't think so. I mean, he played for Spurrier. He seemed to know what he was doing.
Strahan seems to be not affected by his 25 gigs. It seems to still hold up as an NFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah. But does Strahan say anything on those football shows?
Oh, no, they have 17 people on the goddamn panel.
Yeah.
I mean,
do we need that many people to dissect the game? Give me Al DeRogatis and, a bottle of scotch. I mean, isn't that more of an embarrassment that you need and it was this guy, is it Ryan Clark?
Yes.
The guy that's frantic about everything?
He always was. That's what's so funny about Ryan Clark, the growth of him, because he was always like, he never had emotion. He would read the thing. And then the last few years he's grown and he's gotten better. But now with Michael Irvin, they've made him a character of himself, and he just does that whole segment where he's just screaming the whole time. And in the beginning it was funny because it was pretty much mocking Irvin. Like Irvin didn't even realize it, but that's Irvin's thing, is yelling like a lunatic. So he would rile Irvin up, and it was funnier, and it was cool. In the beginning.
Irvin and Stephen A. together, man. I mean, that's that's dueling pianos. I mean, it's crazy. That was like when Stephen A. had that thing after there was a screw job decision in a boxing match, and he and Teddy Atlas tried to outscream each other, and they traded riffs like it was two great guitarists up there. I thought it was at the Funky Biscuit, man. Just traded screaming rants, one trying to top the other, and back and forth like 4 or 5 times. Not easy to do. Maintain that level of fraudulent behavior. And act like, it really means that much to you. All right, Tony Segreto is coming up here in 8 o'clock hour. Ed Garcia is going to join us from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That's a good idea for the holidays, my friends. All right, so get those Texas Roadhouse gift cards. And then when things, use a restaurant term here, May will appreciate this, simmer down a little bit, you can go to Texas Roadhouse and take advantage of the unbelievable pricing and the great, tremendous quality of food. I mean, that is one great restaurant. You hate to use the word chain, right? Because it's sort of,
it doesn't feel
it goes against the concept that these are individually run restaurants.
Yep.
And yet they run to a certain standard that is very high put out there. And Ed Garcia is the guy that oversees all of that. You can tell that he's very effective in his job. So place is all run like a top. So Tony's coming up with Ed Garcia. And, of course, Michigan is still what? You got to wait almost a week and a half, right, for these semifinal games to be played?
New Year's Eve, I guess. New Year's Eve.
Where there seems to be a large assumption that it's going to be Michigan versus Georgia. Is everybody thinking the same thing? Is there an upset there in either of those two games?
Well, there can be. I mean, Ohio State is being forgotten because they got throttled by Michigan, but all year they were a top 3-4 team. And TCU, their quarterback is game. Like Duggan doesn't just fall flat in his face, and it's not like Michigan was a total juggernaut. So I think the games can be better than we're assuming because the playoffs have been horrendous the last few years. But on paper, it feels like Georgia and Michigan are head and shoulders from above everyone.
Yeah, I think we got to change the pace of these weenie bowl games, though. It was nice to have a little bit of action yesterday, so I did tune into a couple of these games.
Yeah.
But geez, I mean, look at what we've seen so far: UAB versus Miami of Ohio,
Well, they've been hurt.
Troy against the University of Texas San Antonio, Louisville, Cincinnati. I guess semi-legit lower-level ball
That was
game. No,
interesting. Yeah, that one was interesting. But the rest
Oregon
of them,
State, Florida. You know, you got two teams that have a little bit of history in terms of making an impact in a game. Fresno State, Washington State. Washington State was a disgrace in that game. The Pac-12. Get out of here with that. That was ugly. You could tell I was getting 4 points, and it wasn't
I was going to
enough.
say, you can tell your side.
Southern Miss Rice. I would have zero interest in that. SMU BYU. No interest there. BYU won the game by a point. It was a thriller in Manila, but I didn't watch a second of it. Marshall and UConn. Jim Mora Jr. took UConn from being like a zero-win team for the previous 6 seasons to bowl eligible. Should that not earn him Coach of the Year consideration?
That's a
Jim
big
Mora
deal.
Jr.
I mean, they were a disaster. Randy Edsel ran them from the ground up back to the ground.
Buried beneath the sea, my friends. 20,000 leagues beneath the sea. That used to be a game that you could buy, and it was very complicated. It's like a real sophisticated game that you would get for Christmas or Hanukkah, and you couldn't figure out how to play it, man. I don't know if anybody remembers that game. 20,000 leagues beneath the sea. It was a movie out at the time.
I know the movie.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the game. That's when there was
it had a sonar thing and had a new innovative thing for a game. I mean, we're talking about in the 50s here, my friend. So imagine what game innovations. It's nothing like it is today, right? Where you put some virtual mask on and all of a sudden you're batting fourth for the Yankees in the World Series against Sandy Koufax, right? And you can see Koufax. All right. Hialeah Park. Oh, wow. I mean, they have some big holiday things going on, including a New Year's Eve that's going to be spectacular. Please do yourselves a favor. If you're looking for entertainment, a lot of people are looking for things to do. When are we going to do New Year's Eve? Surprise the babe in your life and take her to a real, just unbelievably classy way to welcome in the new year. And what better place to be in to welcome the new year than beautiful Hialeah Park? You can look outside and see the beauty of life and, how it, is just naturally tremendous to be part of this world. And then you can look inside at Vegas-style slot machines that are just popping and paying off jackpots right and left. Poker room, outstanding. If you want to play a little poker, you're holding pocket aces like Mayo. Check, check, check. Right? Then bury the guy all in. Tremendous. And then the Champion Simulcasting Room is awesome as well. A lot of holiday stuff going on with regard to foods and food and parties and drinks and all of the good stuff that you would always feel inclined to join Hialeah Park in any type of celebration, and especially around this time of the year. And you know how they are. They like to give back to the community, so the prices are just unbelievably fair. You can bring kids also to the Christmas, and I don't know about the New Year's thing. You want to have kids around, right? Some 4-year-old rugrat.
I wouldn't, but I guess you can.
I guess that snaps you right back into reality as we cross into 2023. Not many people are saying 2023 is going to be my year. Have you heard anybody saying that yet?
And people say it every year. I'm holding hope.
I'm amazed I'm still around in 2023. I remember thinking as a kid, wow, am I going to make it to 2000? I'd be 49 years old. And that celebration is like a lifetime away already. I mean, I can't believe the different things that have happened to me in the last 23 years now that I think back on it. Because I remember being in Las Vegas for that. And there was a big celebration out there, all in the streets and everything. And I thought, wow, we made it to 2000. Who would have ever considered it? And here we are, 2023 coming up. But Tony's probably saying it's going to be his year. You think?
I mean, every year's Tony's year. He's always sunny and smiley guy. A lot like those people, our friends at Hialeah Park. They always bring the energy, and they always. They always make it fun. So be a part of their festivities there over the holidays. Please check the calendar of events, and you'll see some really, really great stuff happening at HialeahPark.com or sign up on their Facebook page. I'm sure if you have a player's card there, you get all of the information. The marketing department doing a great job getting the word out about what's happening at Hialeah Park. Boxing coming up in February. Looking forward to that. And, just getting off to a great finish to 2022. And, of course, a great start to 2023. Beautiful
highly apart. All right, coming back with more. Tony's going to be with us in just a few minutes. And I believe he is snowbound in Vermont, is he not?
Yes.
Mike Lubie, it's very good. Celebrating Christmas there. Very appropriate. Because if you could have like one snowy day a year in your experience.
That'd be wonderful. Just one day.
One day of snow, nice flaky snow coming down, powder on the ground. Maybe about, calf deep, but easily navigable. As you're not going to have to worry about sliding out of your driveway and into the middle of the street there to get run over by a garbage truck that is throwing salt on the road for the cars that follow. That would be it, right? One nice, beautiful, wintry, snowy day where you could walk outside and have a good time, right? And maybe Tony's experiencing that, although it looks bad. Right? Isn't there something like Thursday is supposed to be a disaster, isn't it? Across the country.
It's supposed to get down to 40s here. And when I forget, it's much like flights where like, it's not that your flight's late, it's where it came from. So if it's 40s here.
But a blanket, like unbelievable, not to mention global warming being a possibility here, but it does seem like everything that happens weather-wise is more severe than ever.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right? Everything that happens, it seems like 10 times the severity level of what it used to be.
Well, it's December, and I get it gets cold in some places, Syracuse, Buffalo, but New York
Minnesota is no bargain in the upper
City,
Midwest.
New York City, I remember my buddy being like, because I visited him one year in December, and one year when we did the Super Bowl in December, I was hoping to see snow. He's like, yeah, you're not seeing snow. It's like it's December in New York. He's like, you got to come in February where it's fucking miserable, and then you see snow every day. So but now in December, I'm hearing that there's snow constantly in New York. Which is that's just 15, 20 years ago. Like things have changed dramatically and everything is just intensified, whether it's the heat or the cold.
Well, it's supposed to be wicked, and it's on the highest travel day of the year.
Yeah. Oh, Christmas Eve or
the most, substantial travel day of the year. Millions of people flying, thousands of flights. And imagine what it's going to be like, right? Because I would think a lot of these airports are going to have to shut down.
Oh, 100%.
If it's as bad as they say. Which you never know, because our philosophy. If you could book the weatherman's action, you would be a rich man today. With all due respect to Tony's dear friend, Weaver the Weatherman, who was a stone degenerate.
They've gotten much better than they used to.
And as he was giving the temperatures, was watching the action at Biscayne on another monitor. Secretly pulling for the 3-dog.
What do you mean? It wasn't secretly. Tony said it was well known.
Oh, no, Tony was booking this action. I respect that about Tony a great deal. He knew right away, too. Hey, if you could book the weatherman's action, you'd be a rich man today. All right, we're coming back. Tony Segreto, a little old school here on the Defo Show. Having a good time here in the holiday spirit. Hope you guys are getting into it. Eggnog, how do you feel about eggnog? I haven't had eggnog in a while.
I haven't had it yet this season. I love eggnog and being around the Latin culture I am, and it's not just Puerto Ricans, it's Dominicans. I don't know. I think Mexicans, but I know island people do coquito. And that's literally eggnog, but like way better. Coquito is amazing. Eggnog.
Oh, yeah. Does that involve coconut? Or, it sounds like
it's same. There is coconut. It's very similar to eggnog, but it's a little bit sweeter, and there's usually a good amount of alcohol in it. And
they're very generous pour there in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Yeah. The bartender at the airport actually sent a drink over to me on his dime, and it was strong.
Yes,
I would have to say. Right? It wasn't the usual measured shot that you get at. I don't want to mention Panther games. They do that at the Dolphin games too?
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's such an insult.
It's just stupid.
If you're going to whack a guy for like a ridiculous price for a drink, give him a drink. No? Like the old days in the Old West where they would just send the bottle down the bar there and the guy would go, barkeep, set him up.
Look,
right? Just send the whole bottle.
You have to make a profit, but I mean, come on. Like a half a shot, what's that going to do? But it'll make me be a lot happier to tell you that right now.
Yeah. I mean, is that going to pay Bobrovsky's salary if you cheese me on a drink? I don't think so. All right, we're coming back with Tony Segreto, old school with Tony Segreto here on the Defo Show. Looking forward to having Tony on here pre-holiday season here, pre-Christmas. I'm sure he'll be in a festive mood, and that's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services, which I could use a little bit of that right now. Back with that and more in a moment. Now that. The time. It's 7:59.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show here on this fine Wednesday, pre-Christmas Wednesday. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we welcome in. And I'm looking forward to this because you need inspiration in life. And Tony is an inspiration and should be to all to just toe the line. Don't listen to the devil in your head all the time. That's telling you can't do this and you can't do that, and this is no good, and she's no good, and he's no good. Just follow that yellow brick road right into and through the pearly gates, and realize, wow, there's an afterlife, and it's even better. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that I buy all
Good morning.
that. Yeah, good morning. How are you, Tony? Good to have
I'm doing awesome.
You look great,
Happy.
man. You look very happy.
I'm thrilled. I mean, I'm in my happy places, as the great Joey Kornblit calls it. He goes, Tony's in his happy places in Vermont. So it's great. There's so many things I want to weigh in on here, but I do have to talk about, you were just talking about bartenders and shots.
Yeah.
The old school bartenders, you got to respect, guys, and mostly the old school ones. There was a big, the heavy percentage of men bartenders to women, but there were some really good old time women bartenders. The Freeport, man, they knew what the shot was, and every once in a while, and you knew you were always getting a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's these young bartenders that are like this, and they're measuring it and they're making sure. And you go, hey man, can you give me? Well, it's a rule, I can't. Meantime, a bottle of liquor that's costing the bar $50, they're making 250 off of the pours. It's like, are you kidding me?
They're probably using something that as I always say, is just a notch above straining Aquavelva through bread.
Exactly.
$3 a bottle, and it's never top shelf stuff that they're pouring.
Right.
See now, and I understand this. I don't necessarily cast aspersions towards the bartender. My most recent example of just getting hosed on a round of drinks was that I went to a Panther game a couple of weeks ago with Brett Tesser.
Oh.
Okay, so. He's got great seats. He's been a season ticket holder. Obviously, he really enjoys the game. He brings his clients there, and it's really a great experience. So I'm obligated, naturally out of common etiquette, to buy the first round of drinks for four people.
Exactly.
All right. So and the bartender, I kind of recognized him a little bit, and you get this a lot, I'm sure. And I can't think of the guy's name or a place where I know him from. But I know the guy, and before I have a chance to, kind of bungle my way through, hey, he says, Defo,
Nice.
Joe Blow, or whatever, and hey, Joe, yeah, the Hurricanes, we were friends back then, the Orange Bowl. So you're figuring he's going to be inclined to really, give you a very generous pour.
Take care of you.
Yeah, but he couldn't, and I'm thinking they probably have like more cameras on that than they do on the net for replays,
Right.
to make sure these bartenders don't go like even like a drop,
or on the blackjack dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Blackjack dealer. I have to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, we were all in New York with our daughter, and the night before we met everybody, my son and I were there by ourselves, and we went to this legendary, and I do mean legendary bar in New York called Emmelman's. It is it's like stepping into a Bogart movie. It's
Nice.
and Emmelman's is named after this gentleman who stayed at this hotel. The bar is Emmelman's, who stayed at this hotel, and he was the artist for the cartoon Madeline, the young girls book. If you don't have young girls, a daughter in your life, you never know. You'll never know what Madeline is. But it's a big time, and they're legendary for their martinis. Their martinis are 5 ounces.
Jesus.
Okay?
All right.
Think about that.
Does that come in like one of those
what they do is
there's
a back to it. There's a backup to it, right? So you get your martini pour, a free pour, and then what doesn't fit in the glass fits in a little carafe that they put on ice and put in front of you. It's an expensive place. I mean, you're paying for the legendary.
What do you think? That's got to be 30 a whack in New York. No?
Yeah. But the bartenders are so good, and you're getting more than 5 ounces. You just
that's a lot of booze in a martini, because that's straight up booze, basically.
It's and after a couple, so my son and I sat there, and they give you snacks, and you have a couple of martinis, and you look around, and even though it's expensive, you walk out of there going, man, that was quite an experience. You're watching these guys move, and you're not getting what is the vodka that comes in the plastic bottles. You're not getting that. Yeah. You're getting top shelf vodka or top shelf gin. They have the most assortment of gins you could ever find. The point being is, if you don't mind paying the dough, if you're getting value out of it, and if you're getting an experience out of it. But if someone is just giving you a short drink and they're handing it to you and you're out of there,
and you're thinking,
and you're getting hosed, like, what's the deal?
And then they're down 3-0 after one period. Thinking, what the fuck is this?
No, exactly.
I stick one up and smoke. Like I knew it was gonna. I was afraid, Tony, that I had $100 bill in my hand, and I was.
What happened to Liberty? I didn't even see. I fell asleep.
Liberty, they came back and covered the point spread. That was all that really mattered.
Lost by 2.
Yeah.
If you had money on action,
listen. I got to write before. I'm going to forget this if I don't say this.
Imagine this: we have action on Liberty, and Lubie is involved.
And
is about to make a score, and he gets screwed by a college kicker. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But you were talking about Weaver the weatherman. God rest his soul. He would come out of the weather office, and literally he would have his tickets in his hand.
Oh my God!
Nice. From either from Biscayne or from Flagler or whatever.
Biscayne was pretty close to the studio, wasn't
it? It was. So I remember one time him coming.
But you can make it back in time for the 11.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy.
And still bet the late Quinella double.
Yeah. So anyway, one time he walks on the set, and he still have the tickets in his hand, and he's going on in like 30 seconds, and he goes, Tony, come here. So he hands me his tickets while he's doing the weather.
Should have shown them to the crowd and whined
Oh
about
my God. Oh my goodness gracious. We had more fun. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than whining after the fact. All right, let me get into this here, Tony. I don't know what else you have, if you had anything on the agenda of your own here, because you usually have, involvement in Orange Bowl things. And,
I do want to talk Orange Bowl, but I do want to weigh in on the passing of Franco Harris.
Oh, Franco, yeah. A real gentleman, anytime I ran across him.
An extreme gentleman. And, this happens, and I get goose leather here. It happens 2 days before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. It happens 3 days before he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. They're going to retire his number. They're going to retire his number, and they're going to retire it against the Raiders. Just so sad. And a young man at 72, and just not just a great player, but a great representative of the organization, Pittsburgh. The great, he went to Penn State. He just personified a professional, from whether you're on the football field or whether you're in the walk of life. He was a professional, a man with integrity and dignity, and just a sad day for those who dealt with him and spent time with him. And it was just a great man.
Very versatile, as I recall. I mean, he was dangerous out in the flat as a pass catcher, of course. as evidenced, I guess, by the immaculate reception. But that was one of the things he was featured. He'd run the ball tough up the middle. He had enough speed as a big man to get to the outside.
Yeah.
It's surprising he was overlooked all of his time as a potential Hall of Famer. I don't know statistically, what qualifications.
Well, he's a Hall
he
of
would have
Famer.
fallen short in.
He's in the NFL Hall of Fame, but
Yeah.
he's getting into the Ring of Honor or whatever.
Oh,
they
Ring of
call it,
Honor,
whatever,
finally?
whatever it's still. Yeah, but
Is
I
it
have
still
to tell
Heinz
you,
Field, or did
Wha-
Heinz go out of
No, it's
business?
not Heinz anymore.
Heinz.
yeah.
Oh.
Was there anything more scrutinized with camera angles and zoom ins, and was there anything more scrutinized? The two most scrutinized things to me were the Immaculate Reception and the Kennedy assassination. In terms of,
Well, yeah, Zapruder film on that for sure.
yeah, the films. I mean, how many times did you see over and over again? Did it really happen? Did it bounce off the field? Did he really catch it before it hit the ground? I mean,
Yeah.
it was quite something. It really,
The
really
Raiders, too, were always involved in a lot of funky plays,
Oh,
both for
yeah.
and against. So I was at Shea today that it was La Monica? No, the
Yeah.
Snake, Stabler. Stabler rolled the ball forward, and
Yeah.
they had to make a rule afterwards
Yeah.
that you couldn't do that anymore. But of course, at the time there was no rule, and it went against him. And you're like, my God, that seems impossible.
Yeah.
That this guy could bowl like Don Carter, a ball like 20 yards into the end zone there, and they fall in it for a game-winning score. Yeah, he was a throwback guy. I don't know that you have players like that. I actually thought Melvin Bratton could have been a Franco Harris.
I totally agree,
in the NFL.
And I speak to Melvin still, and there's a sad story. Not sad in that he's doing great. Don't get me wrong, but he has nothing to do with that.
Isn't he like
But
a sports agent or something, or a rap star?
Just to get hurt like he did, and never get that NFL career.
Oh,
like
I was ashamed. Yeah,
everybody expected, but that and National Signing Day today. There's a lot of excitement throughout the year.
Now, what were your assignments? As the head sports director of NBC, how did you? Because people here, I was shocked. I never paid any attention to the draft or National Signing Day. I didn't even know there was a National Signing Day before I came to Miami. And then I remember some people in the newsroom. I was working at WIOD, and some people in the I was at 940, my first job down here, and they're all running around. It was an all new station. They're saying, "What are you doing for National Signing Day?"
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? But I didn't realize what a big deal it was here. So how did you approach it? Because I was under the tutelage of the late great Sonny Hirsch and the absolute, the stickler for every detail of this type of coverage, Joe Zagacki, as we were assembling, our forces here and our approach to National Signing Day. So what did you do on the TV side? You had to be everywhere, right?
Yeah, we did. And we never chose schools. We chose local athletes and what school they were going to, right? So at the time, back, since this is old school.
Did they do the hat thing then?
Yeah, the big schools were
going way back.
Coral Gables.
Oh, with the kid where they were.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weren't really.
Yeah, so we would probably hit 10 young men who had signed that day with Florida State, Ohio State. I remember being at Neil Colsey's house when he signed with Ohio State, and this was like, how could he not go to the University of Miami? And that's when all the big guys were leaving because they didn't want to go to Miami, and that's when Howard came in and changed all that. But I remember Neil Colsey, Gerald Tinker.
just
Guys.
a lot of great guys. You had to be positioned in their house, or whatever at the school where they made the announcement.
Yeah. So it was. We were all over the place. We were getting at least 10 guys. Different in TV. You can't. You needed to go with cameras. There wasn't.
Right.
Bernie
Rosen must have been insane during.
Oh, what he was. I was literally going all over the place. And then. It was great, and I think it's still very a very big day.
And you have to get the local coaches, and they all say the same thing. Have you ever heard a coach, Tony, saying, "Hey, you know what? We really fucked this up. We couldn't teach a dog to eat a steak, or let's coax a kid to come to our school." You never hear that. It's always like.
But it's grown so much bigger than when we covered it. Even when we covered it, it was a big deal, but not nearly as big as it is now. And we didn't have 5-star ranks and all of that sort of thing. We just, a great player, and what's he going to do for this program? And I remember one of the guys
People used to sweat over this though in town.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
Listen, when Larry
fans
Rentz,
were insane.
when the great Larry Rentz decided to go to the University of Florida, that may have been the biggest deal of all at the time.
Oh, Gators getting a guy was like,
he was
worse than torture.
He was a god at quarterback at Coral Gables, winning all those state and national championships. And mind you, Coral Gables in those days, they were like St. Thomas is today, or American Heritage is today. They were just, remarkable.
A football factory.
Yeah,
Yes.
they were. Nick Cody's was the coach. He was a legendary high school coach, and but
So you had to be at the high school that was producing the most prospects. A bunch of kids places where they're making the announcement.
Yeah.
Or
go to their homes.
At the school, I guess UM would be the big one. Then we didn't have FAU and FIU football. And then now, did you also defer to the often just kind of hysterically wrong opinions of Max Emfinger as to where people were going to school?
Never paid
and
attention.
What their prospects were to succeed.
Never paid attention to that. Trust me.
He was like a TV evangelist, but talking about recruiting.
Yeah.
Where whatever it was that he thought you wanted to hear, that's what that he.
Well, I think every school is going to be excited today. Certainly, Hurricane fans are. I mean, it's been when you look at on paper, it's probably one of the most influential in terms of 4- and 5-star kids that we've had in a long time.
You've been saying this,
Miami, yeah. And I say it again. Mario says, in order to win games, you need Jimmys and Joes, and right now we don't have Jimmys or Joes, and we'll see. But Florida's looking good. Florida State's looking good. Everybody's claiming they have this and that in terms of what they're getting. So we'll see. Again, it's the lottery. They're good now. Are they going to be good in 3 years? Are we going to be able to put them on the field as freshmen? Because that's the way things are headed now. So it's going to be fun. But
Liberty is in a bowl game, and the Canes are sitting home.
Yeah, I know.
Liberty.
So, but I have to tell you, I'm excited about the bowl season. And again, we're going to see some great young kids play. And I still believe, and not because I'm on the committee, but I still believe the Clemson Tennessee game is going to be one of the best games that we have on the docket. I mean, you have 6 against 7. I know there's a lot of kind of worry about are these semifinal games going to be blowouts? I heard you guys saying, is it going to be Georgia and Michigan? And I'm not sure. I think it's going to be Georgia. I just don't know. I kind of agree with Lubie. I don't know where TCU fits in this mix. They could surprise a whole lot of people.
People have doubted Michigan all year, though.
Yeah, they have. They absolutely have.
And the 2 biggest spots, they played as well as they possibly could.
Yes,
I mean, they're even better than they did in other places on the schedule.
All I'm saying is, and as I'm not saying who I'm picking because I really don't know who I'm going to pick. But I have to tell you, they're going to be facing a team that they haven't quite seen. They haven't quite seen the firepower that TCU has throwing the ball, and the way they throw it to an assortment of receivers. Do they have the ability to get to the quarterback to disrupt it enough where the DBs don't have to worry about like hanging in there with these guys? Because otherwise they could speedboat them right out of the park.
That's the thing.
Well, we'll see what happens when we get there. I have had some action just in my personal bookmaking venture with my buddy on these ball games, and it does enhance the interest quotient.
It sure does. It really
what
does.
appears to be the most meaningless of athletic competitions. It was great. Now, did you just an aside here from college football? But did you get involved in this World Cup final? And were you as excited about the way the game was contested as the rest of the world seemed to be?
I am a World Cup finals guy. I'm not going to kid you. The other games I watched, but I didn't watch with any sense of anticipation, and But I have to tell you, this final game was about as good as it gets. and to see the excitement, to see the picture of Buenos Aires with the people in the square there.
Oh, they're going crazy.
It was to hear the call from Andres. Oh my goodness gracious me. And having him, born and raised in Buenos Aires, and his son with him. And it was,
he like almost crying, like when he,
yeah. And I get it. I get it.
Mundo. He's like, it sounds like he's crying. I'm like, I know he yells, but it sounds like he's crying. I'm like,
you have to understand.
How long did he carry out? They should have an over-under like you do in the anthem. How long did he carry out the goal?
I at least 30 seconds, but all I know is that it's a religion. It's a religion to these Argentinians, and the way the star stepped up, the legend stepped up and played great. The game itself was absolutely legendary. You could not have, if that didn't gain soccer fans or gain the appreciation of people who don't know enough about soccer, the beauty, the strength, the speed of that game, then nothing will, because that was about as good.
Even people like Defo watched some of it. I mean, that game was nuts. The last 15 minutes to the extra time to the PKs was ridiculous.
Soccer highlights would be great if they would just play the game in front of television cameras. Now the crowds are insane because they're insane. I mean that the crowd looks like it's out of a Fellini flick, doesn't it? You're wondering what's the message here, and I don't know if I'm deep enough to even comprehend what's going on. And they're like at an emotional breakdown level that you haven't seen since the Maury Povich show, and the old parental reveal. And they're not even in sync with what's going on the field. It doesn't matter what's happening on the field. The crowd is insane.
Oh yeah,
100%. And then there are a couple of instances in the game where you go, "Wow, that was pretty cool." And you're also looking at guys, I mean, that are sprinting like 30 yards, and then always in futility in the end. But you're saying those guys are really going after it, and it's like an hour and a half into this game, they're still doing this. But not easy to do. I mean, you would tend to tire out, or maybe even dog it a little bit. So all of that is respected, but the game itself is it's a stupid concept. I can't get over that. I don't know why I can't get past it. And I watched it. I understand everybody loved it. I can't say I didn't get a little excited there.
I listen. I'm not I like using your hands. I mean, I'm not all about the
exactly.
But listen, it's a world with over 1 billion people watch the game on television. Over 1 billion people.
But that doesn't mean that it's great.
What do you mean it doesn't mean that it's great? It means people are interested. Do 1 billion people watch the Super Bowl?
People are numb to I mean, look at the people storming the Capitol building. People can be, Jim Jones.
Yeah, but do 1 billion people watch the Super Bowl?
I would think. I don't know. The Super Bowl, is it not the most watched event on TV?
In the United States, it is.
This is only every 4 years, though, so maybe you got to factor that into the equation.
Yeah, I would think so.
It shows you that people have nothing to do on a Sunday morning, right? They're waiting for the NFL. It was actually perfect because it did produce some excitement.
It's a perfect time.
One of my favorite references, even though nobody remembers this, was Gary Gilmore in the Utah firing squad, the last guy to go down by firing squad. And every time I look at the goalie on a penalty kick, of which there are many, as the game was decided by penalty kicks, I'm thinking, that's Gary Gilmore, man. Where's the blindfold? All you got to do is kick it right up the middle, because the guy's diving one way or the other automatically as soon as you say your mama.
You should be the commissioner.
Of FIFA? I wish I was, man. I wouldn't have to worry about any of my finances the rest of my life.
Oh, my God.
That guy was a trip, man, huh? I mean,
hey, listen, I have to answer Jim Sarney real quick. No, the Orange Bowl did not ask for the December 30th time slot. That's the way it works out. That's the way the college football playoff and the bowls afterwards works out. We're happy with the time slot. Yeah, I mean, we're happy with the date rather than it being the 31st. Yeah, so it's a good slot for us. We think we're going to have a really good game.
All right, I might need you, Tony, to make a call on my behalf here, because in my little venture down in the Bahamas, I ended up breaking my toe.
I saw a picture of that. What the heck happened?
Well, me, I always think it's nothing, right? I mean, I got a toe the size of a bowling pin, and it looked horrible. And I don't even know if the picture did justice to the
How did
actual.
How did you do it?
I walked out in the water, in on the ocean side there, and hidden. I mean, from sight was a ledge of very very sharp and slippery rocks that was the size of more than like a double curb. And it was right at the point where you start to dip down into the water, so I slid right into it and went falling forward, but I broke my toe. Turns out, so I waltzed around with it for a week without doing anything for it necessarily. I'm putting ice on this thing. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a brain tumor.
Yeah,
It's not going to fix anything. And so I finally went to the doctor. There's nothing you can do. You just gotta sort of stabilize it as best you can and let it heal up. But aside from trying to find an unscrupulous personal injury attorney, I also was thinking, just in case I need some kind of rehab. I know
there's only one place to go.
Yeah, there really
There's
is.
only one place. I mean, I would for you to even think about it, and I would guess that there would have to be some sort of rehab, and that's Catholic.
I don't know what you can do for it. I mean, you basically have to just live with it.
Yeah. So, and I think that I have to tell you, having been through different kind of rehabs in my lifetime, one of the things that Catholic Health Services specializes in, and they do all the rehab, right? So they do occupational rehab and they do physical rehab. And I remember when it was occupational rehab was first introduced to me, I go, really? Do I need that? And I'm not sure anybody really knows what occupational rehab is. Do you? I mean,
occupational therapy. No,
I've heard occupational therapy, rehab is they teach you how to navigate your home every day and what you need to do, how to get in and out of bed, how to put your sock on if you need to, depending on the severity.
I was struggling with that. Before
I bet you were.
Yeah.
If how to reach up to get something out of a cabinet, how to be able to move from chair to chair, if you're on crutches and you have a glass or a bowl of something, how do you make all that happen? And you know what? You sort of laugh and you say, well, what's the big deal? Well, you know what? If you're by yourself in the house for a little bit and you need some water or you need something to help you out and you're trying to figure out how to do that, that's where occupational therapy comes in handy. And they are amazing at it, not to mention the physical therapy, because with the physical therapy at Catholic Health Services, they're going to get you up and around from whatever you're going through, probably quicker than you could have ever imagined. They're a group of people. We do this every week, and we have to hammer it home because people go, oh, come on, it can't be that good. But guess what? It is.
Yeah,
a group of people that are not only skilled and excel in what they do physically and emotionally for you, but they do it with a sense of compassion and passion. They do it with a sense of love that is unmatched in any other rehab facility that you could possibly go to. The doctors, the caregivers, the nurses, the administrators, the therapists, all of those who give you that rehab and give you that attention make you feel as if you are the only one getting that rehab in the entire hospital. Listen, they survived COVID. They survived all of that. They kept their patients safe and they got them back up and moving again quicker again than anyone could have ever imagined. They surpassed, God forbid, during hurricane season, they went beyond what the state ordered them. They have generators. They're going to keep everything. All the lights are always going to stay on, especially now with this storm coming through. Everybody's going to be impacted. Everybody is going to be impacted. We're going to be impacted here in New England. You're going to be impacted back there in South Florida with temperatures, if falling iguanas. All of those things are going to be happening. Instead of it snowing, they're going to be snowing iguanas. Is that what's going to happen?
That would be my luck. I check out because I got hit in the head with an iguana.
Exactly. But the point being, all joking aside, we're grateful that Catholic Health Services is with us here on Old School. We could not be happier to be involved with them because they're a group of people and a business that does it the right way every day. Integrity, dignity, and passion. And they do it to make this community better.
They're just really good people. All right, if it comes to that, Tony, I'm all in. You'll see me on a treadmill there maybe in a couple of weeks. So when I get some feeling back in this thing. All right, we're coming back with more. Also brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. We're trying to connect with Ed Garcia, so hopefully we'll be able to bring you a few of Ed's thoughts.
Where is Ed, Lubie?
No, probably at a Michigan rally, I would think, and especially after you just. again, attack their chances of being, victors in a runaway in this game against a TCU team that was life and death to win most of the games that they won on their schedule. And didn't I don't think they faced. Did they face?
Oh, their
that kind
schedule
of
was nuts. No, their
heat?
schedule was
Yeah.
ridiculous. They played
I
the
guess they
toughest
did.
schedule
There
of all.
goes that statement. Yeah, right out the window there.
They beat like 6 or 7 top 25 teams.
Holy Beano Cook, man.
Yeah.
I mean-
Oh, God bless Beano Cook.
All right, we're going to come back with more with Tony Segreto, more old school here. Tomorrow, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge with the great Dave Gurgly and some holiday good cheer. And then we'll have a Degenerate Friday for you on Friday with all of our handicappers and a lot of stuff to handicap, including the Dolphins and the Packers. We'll get into that a little bit with Tony Segreto as we continue old school in a moment. Now that. It's 8:30. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine foods served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, listen, though I have to tell you, there's no joke, man. We had this. There were the three of us. These two steaks. In fact, we have leftovers. We'll have it for lunch today. I mean, it was incredible. Absolutely.
I just love that.
And they're such good people.
Isn't it snowing? Like, I love that you're
Pardon me?
making your son grill in like -10. Isn't it like 15 degrees there now?
I'm not making him do anything.
okay.
He chose to do what he wanted to do. He's 28 years old. He's had a great he's had a great education. You know what? A nice bourbon white grilling is not so bad in the cold.
Isn't it
You know?
No, it's great, man. You have on the table, instead of salt and pepper, you have chapstick.
Exactly.
Wild turkey.
Get out there.
Tony with a shotgun going, I got one. I got one.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show. There it is, man. So he wasn't barefoot. I mean, I pictured Tony Franklin
That's
in
like
snow in Philadelphia.
that's like a freaking stupid ass sweater. You're his parents. My mom would have literally made me wear the fucking jacket.
Yeah. You're Jewish. You're Jewish,
Full
Lubie.
sleeves.
Yeah.
That's not even like thick.
That's his
sweatpants,
that's one of his
and it's
many
like
Notre Dame
snow.
hoodies that's one of his many Notre Dame hoodies that he has on there. He's actually with us now. I was actually going to see if he wanted to come on with us, but
You
he's
should
so
have
busy.
him give some testimony about this particular
He's so
day.
busy at what he does. But we just by the way, I just talked to Ed. He's going to be hopping on with us in a second.
Oh, good. Okay.
But we just got 6 fillets from the Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop, and we're actually going to probably break out 3 of them tonight.
How do they get there? By sled? I mean, how do they deliver
No,
these
they're
things?
packed in coolers and dry ice,
Sled.
and they're
But I mean,
beautiful.
how do they get to your door? They drop a drone?
Oh
over
yeah,
there?
yeah. We got either Moose pulling up a sled, or
Nice.
usually, and there's usually a man and dressed in a
This is such a different life. I mean, from what we're experiencing here in Florida.
Well, you know what? All kidding aside, it is a much different life. We, like, for example, the other day, my son and I,
You
we
have
went down.
TVs? I mean,
we
do you have
went-
TVs there?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
went down to the. I'll tell you what we did. I will share this with you for those of you who are wondering whether you should do it or not. We decided, after we've been here 30 years. After 29 of the years, we decided we were going to get rid of our satellite DirecTV, which was they were a pain in the butt to deal with all the time. And
Tough for the cable guy to get out to the wilderness.
If you sneezed in front of your cable box, your satellite box for DirecTV, they charged you $1.
Went out for a month.
So just could not have been more unhappy with them, but it was the only thing we had. But we have gone to YouTube TV and could not be happier.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely,
All right.
could not be happier. And we get everything we want, and it's just good. But the point being is, yes, we have TVs. But, like, for example, we went down to the farm the other day, not even a mile from my house, and we got some fresh milk, we got some fresh cheese from them. We get their freshly tapped maple syrup, and the vegetables from local people that had vegetables stored in their silos and in their barns. I mean, it's just a much different way of doing business.
Yeah.
It's
It's Jean Gabor, man. Green Acres, Eddie Albert, man, all over again. It's fantastic.
We have grocery stores too, though, but we have all of that.
One thing that you don't have nearby, which is good that you're taking advantage of the many ways that you can enjoy the just absolutely spectacular job that is being done feeding America by Texas Roadhouse restaurants. And we welcome to the show Ed Garcia. Ed, you know what? I don't know why. I'm fairly confident in your Michigan Wolverines in this upcoming ball game against TCU. I think they make it to the final and they give Georgia a scare. They've been doubted all season, and here's Tony, Mr. Sunshine and Light, and he is saying, "Well, I don't know. Watch out for this Duggan guy."
I don't know. I really don't. I do think if Michigan makes it to the finals, they will destroy Georgia. I do think that. I think they will. I think
they will destroy Georgia.
That's
an interesting. I mean, how can you fault the guy then for saying that there's a shot they go down in this game? Man? What do you think?
More states.
So Ed, have you decided? Because I have not been able to follow up with you. We've all been busy. Are you going to go to the semifinal, or are you kind of rolling the dice and going to the final?
I'm already bought plane tickets for the finals.
Nice.
Yes, I bought plane tickets for the finals. I will not be able to go to the semifinals. I do want to be there, but I will actually be out of the country with family. But I have a ticket to California. Plane tickets. I don't have tickets yet to the game, but I have plane tickets to California.
Well, if you need tickets to the game, we'll help. We'll work on that for you. But awesome. I have to. I'm not gonna. I don't want to pull the curtain back too far. So you're going to be out of the country for the game itself. I'm assuming you are demanding a TV wherever you're going to be so you can watch the game.
As a matter of fact, I am working with a third-party company to make sure that
Are you serious?
Well, overseas, they don't care about college football. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Good job by you.
But they're still going to be able to. They're still going to be able to get ESPN or wherever the game is, right?
It can be very challenging because of the territory rights with all these people and what they show. But I'll actually be in Columbia. So there is a company called Columbia VIP that helps you with all sorts of stuff. And so I have a concierge service working on making sure that I can watch the game.
That may be a first. All right, that may be an absolute first. I have a concierge service because I'm going out of town and I've got to watch my football game.
And you have to be very specific. I need to watch American football.
Yes.
Now, do you only get that time slot, that like 4 hours, or do you get that whole day watching that
network or channel or feed?
I will find out when I'm there. So, and if we can, we'll video stream the whole situation.
My guess is it's pretty. It comes with a dear price. You don't have to tell us now, but
I don't know yet. I was in negotiations yesterday, but when hopefully we'll finalize it here the next couple of days. But if not, I may be home on the 30th. So.
It'd probably be easier to just fly in for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And go back to Colombia after that. Bogota or Barranquilla? Where you headed?
Medellin. So
Medellin.
Very yeah. So we're going to be celebrating the New Year's there with the family and the kids and all that stuff.
Very nice.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a little Texas Roadhouse. Defo mentioned this earlier. I'm going to kind of pile on this. But Defo said, if you're still wondering what to do to get someone for Christmas, you can go get the amazing gift cards from Texas Roadhouse, or you can even order them and send them a link with a card to it. I just got the 6 most beautiful fillets from the Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop. They're absolutely spectacular. We're gonna grill them up and get them all set with mushroom. Well, we're going to make that with our cinnamon butter candle going in the house. Wow. We're going to, the only thing we're missing is a neon sign that says Texas Roadhouse. And I have to tell you, I was in Albany the other day picking up my son from the airport, and Albany has a Texas Roadhouse, and the place was jamming as every other Texas Roadhouse. I mean, it was remarkable. So just keep those in mind. And if you still want to go out the night before, Christmas Eve or whatever, because you've had a lot of cooking, Ed, those restaurants are going to be hopping. And what a great way to not have to cook the night before Christmas Eve and get unbelievable food.
Absolutely. I'm just going to remind everybody, I mean, last night I was working in Miramar, and you can tell the holiday seasons are upon us. I mean, we had well over 20 people on the wait last night. Wow. It started early. I mean, it's Monday night, and it's 6:00, and you're starting to pile up. But that mobile app just makes things so much easier, and it's kind of cool to see in our computers. We can see who uses the mobile app, so they basically almost walk in, and they only have to wait just a couple of minutes. We were about a 30-minute wait. It's not end of the world, but hey, time is precious, so you can save a little bit of time when you come in and do that. And then as the holidays are coming up too, if you need a little bit of help, we can help you out with some mashed potatoes, fresh baked bread, some sides. That way you just have a little bit more time to spend with your family and things like that. And Tony, you mentioned it. The gift card is the greatest gift. So a lot of really cool stuff with the gift cards that you can do. You can send them electronically and, just make a simple gift to just say thank you to someone. So thanks for looking out for us. Looking forward to it.
I strongly urge, again, I know that we're only a few days away from Christmas, so that may be a bit of a stretch, but for New Year's Eve or whatever, and you're looking for some really good steaks, I strongly urge you to go to the Texas Roadhouse Butcher Shop and look at what they have. And I want to tell you something, and this is no disrespect. It's going to come out that way, but it's not meant to have disrespect. You're seeing commercials all over the place for another steak that you can only get delivered. There is no steakhouse that goes along with that steak. It's somewhere in Nebraska. That's all I can tell you. And it's in a city where they have a lot of insurance companies. So if you compare that, what you get in the mail and over, in the dry ice that you get compared to what you get from the butcher shop, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Wow,
I urge
Tony,
you to look at the
competition.
I am not outing anybody. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
That's bulletin board stuff, Tony Segreto.
Someone sent to me a few years ago, someone sent me a gift from that other place, and it was nice, but it wasn't what we get from Texas.
I would agree with you on that.
I am sorry. Ed, I don't know what you guys do, but man, oh man, when I got those fillets, actually I wasn't here. I was out of town. But my buddy picked it up and he opened it up. He goes, "Oh my God, did you see those?" I go, "Don't you even think of picking one up?"
You got 6. It probably came in a 12-pack.
That's what it was. I thought it was 12.
Yeah.
Ed, have you had those fillets from the?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The fillets, the ribeyes are absolutely fantastic. And I did the bone-in once. I mean, it makes one, it's a great gift, but it's awesome. You know, I got them, and then one day I was opening up the freezer, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing for dinner. Seasoned them up, you know, put them out there on the grill. I mean, it's just a excellent quality cut of meat. And, you know, you brought it up. You're like, hey, you don't know what the difference is. I'll tell you, we have a department in our, you know, making sure that these steaks are hand cut, and the quality that we get from the amount of marbling that is on there. I mean, we are very, 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 very picky. It's amazing sometimes, even just the amount of beef that one restaurant sends back, that, you know, we just have so many different quality control measures set in place to just make sure that you guys are getting the best.
Yeah,
fabulous. Right. Good stuff. Ed Garcia, good luck.
Merry Christmas, sir, and good luck.
Have a good time in Colombia.
Merry Christmas. The best Christmas to you, Ed. And I have to tell you, we're grateful and so thankful for Texas Roadhouse. We love this relationship, and we're family, man.
Absolutely. Let's go blue.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, we'll talk,
Ed Garcia, Colombia. You've been down to Colombia? I was there once doing a boxing match, and it became legendary. I mean, the occurrences that took place there. Barranquilla, Colombia, which as you go from the airport, we're riding to our hotel, and I mean, you would swear that you had just transitioned into like a fourth world country as you were rolling through the city. I've never seen a scene like this except in movies. And then, you know, when we got to the hotel, it was okay. But after the match, now think of this. There's a guy named Ricardo Torres, what was a champion there, a tough son of a gun. He wins the fight, and there still was a riot in the arena after the fight. I got hit with a beer can from like the upper deck of this place called the Salon de Jumbo as I was down there ringside. And I adhered to the advice of the great Jimmy Lennon Sr., who many years ago told me that whenever you hear the words, ladies and gentlemen, we have a split, as soon as they say split, whoosh, right under the ring apron. If there's an upper deck, because you're going to get pelted. All right, we're going to come back with more. Tony Segreto here. Get into the Dolphins a little bit, huh, Tone? What do you think?
Absolutely.
That was a good ball game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good ball game. A lot of people don't believe in moral victories. I thought it was a pretty good showing by the Finns, so we'll see what you think about it when we come back in a moment here on the Defo Show. Now that.
The time.
8:46.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Segreto joins us with Old School. You probably saw this as a Yankee fan. $360 million San Francisco Giant dollars. No. Holy Willie Mays. I think we have ourselves an outfielder and a new hero. I mean, what do you think, Tony? Are you okay with that?
No. Shame on the Yankees if they don't counter with 50 million more.
Yeah. Wow.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
And they have the money.
Shame on. That's all I
don't have the.
It's probably never happened to you. It's happened to me a couple of times where you come home and all the furniture is gone and all of our clothes are gone. And the only thing you have left, I mean, it's like an empty room. You go to sit down in the kitchen and even that chair is gone. You land on the floor.
what kind of people have you been?
It's not the
associated
people,
with?
it's him. It
I don't know if
happens
the
over
word
and over again.
psychotic
It's
is,
him.
you know,
I
meaning
don't
to you.
know. I don't know.
Not sure exactly what
Sometimes
it
I
is.
wonder. Sometimes
I don't.
Sometimes I
What
just
you're doing on
wonder.
this show, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I was like, wait a
you,
minute.
you had an impeccable reputation.
What have I hitched my wagon to? Have I hitched my wagon to this falling star? Or what is it?
Defo and Lubie always have a blast kicking it old school with the iconic Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tale of Two Cities, Buffalo and Miami, and it was at one time just a heated rivalry, and I was kind of reminiscing a couple of times this week. I used to love this when we would be on the radio on WIOD 6 to 8, and we would simulcast before a Buffalo Miami game a couple of times a year with a Buffalo radio station that carried the Bills. And they had one of those old school guys, you know, like the doctor or the professor or something that had been there forever. You know, I mean, he was, you know, among the founding fathers of Buffalo and been doing the games forever, doing the talk shows. And the people would just call in and exchange insults about each other, which, you know, me orchestrating that, can you imagine? It was like I was conducting the Boston Pops. So I loved it. And it was a bitter rivalry. It really was. Now, that sort of dissipated, but it became a very important game, and the Dolphins unfortunately ended up on the losing end of it. They had played two really subpar games on the West Coast, which, you know, maybe one is explicable, the other, you start to think, well, I hope this isn't a trend. So I don't know. I mean, they're 8-6 now. Looks like they're going to cover the 9 for the over-under for the season. Seem to be playoff bound. Looks like they have a good shot to win 2 of their last 3, maybe. Now,
Yeah.
what did you think of what you saw?
I loved what it. Listen, they compete. They played maybe the best team. I mean, it's either Buffalo or Philadelphia or Dallas. I mean, one of those three. They're probably the best teams in the league. And it's pretty. Listen, it's pretty hard to beat Josh Allen. It's just hard. And I thought Tua handled it well. I thought the team handled it well. Again, I go back to we need to keep in mind we have a team that has literally been through how many coaches in the past 10 years?
Yep.
And how many different players have they cycled in and out? And you know,
and philosophies also.
And philosophies
and
styles and different. I mean, whole different ways of thinking. And now they have themselves, you know, a head coach that everybody loves, who's trying to change the culture, who's learning the ropes of being a head coach himself. They're all growing up together. You know, they're literally growing up together. It's a family that just got together, a blended family. And how do we coexist? How do we make this work? And I think they have done an amazing job, much better than anyone could have ever imagined. I know everybody gets their hopes up, you know, oh, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. You know what? Who's to say we're not going to make it? But I think we need to be realistic and understanding that we're going to hit those moments like we just did. I mean, it was a lot to ask this team to fly out west. They stayed out there for a week. They played 2 really hot teams that, you know, one with maybe arguably the best, certainly defense that we've seen in a long time.
Yep.
And I think I like what I see from them, and whether they make the playoffs or not is not relevant to me. How they finish the season is relevant to me. And I think that they
would have to finish reasonably well.
And what I'm saying is they lost to Buffalo, but you know what? I didn't come away from that game getting upset and angry. It was like, man, they competed. They competed really.
That was a good ball game.
Yeah, it was a really, really good game. And I want people to keep in mind, you know, there were days early in Shuli's years where we dominated Buffalo. And then then the pendulum swung the other way. And Buffalo with Kelly and Thurman, they just, you know, and Bruce, they just dominated us. And now, you know, it looks like they're when they have a guy like Josh Allen, man, I'm telling you what, he's remarkable. He is so much fun to watch. He's fun great, to watch.
And in the true Segreto mold, I mean, every interview I see with this guy, I just can't help but like him more and more.
Yeah,
he seems like just a really, really genuinely good person all the way through, and
he's
his
like a
level of
sweet guy.
humility sort of
Yeah.
defies that ferocity that he plays with, especially when he's running the football, the aggressiveness, and just seems to say all of the right things. I'm looking,
Yeah.
going, wow, this cat's perfect.
Yeah, his
So,
teammates
and he has a
love
little
him.
Jim Kelly in him, though. I mean,
He's got a lot of. I was just going to say that, Defo. He's got a lot of Jim Kelly in him.
They get the
He
second
has-
coming of
he-
Jim Kelly. Amazing.
He
huh?
has no fear. He runs like a running back. You know, he's a magician with his
And
throw.
there's a little bit of that type of thrower where
Yeah,
it's not always right
absolutely.
on the money, but most of the time he's going
Right.
to do something with the
Exactly.
ball. I thought Tua acquitted himself very well in the game. McDaniel,
I did too.
my favorite aspect of that game was listening to the sideline interview with McDaniel as opposed to McDermott.
Yeah.
Who McDermott was like Jack Webb in the drill sergeant. He comes out, spits out a couple of meaningless and very abrupt cliches, and basically is looking at the poor woman that's the sideline reporter, and with his eyes he's telling her to go bleep herself. I got to go coach my team. And McDaniel goes off on this thing that you were thinking, wow, was that Nietzsche he was quoting?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, he's a Yale guy. He's an Ivy Leaguer, man. He's listen.
Well, that's
And a long answer. I mean, like that went and touched on many areas and a variety of tangents, all to tell you that they may not stick with running the ball.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, that's my problem. Is look, 2-0 was better, Waddle was better, Hill was better, Armstead looked better. The offense moved first. The top 5 defense, they were unstoppable. I mean, they moved the ball as well as they moved it the entire year.
Yeah, they were good.
But Mr. Yale in the second half did what he has done the last 2 games, the entire game. At least this game, the first half, they ran the crap out of the ball. In the fourth quarter, they had a lead. But he lets the genius thing get to him, and he goes a little crazy. And I get it. It's what I've reminded myself why I don't lose it after these games. It's year 1. He's still trying to get his legs. He's still trying to prove himself. But I'm waiting for him to go, you know what? We're just going to run it. Look, the Bills couldn't run it for crap the whole game. What did they do that last drive? Not the drive that was 8 minutes where the last drive. The last drive, they ran it 5 of 6 times because they knew it's snowing. A defense is tired. We're going to run it down their freaking throat. And when the Dolphins had a 5-point lead with a chance to make it a 14, 5 plus 7, a 12-point lead. I'm sorry, a 12-point lead. What did they do? He said they're throwing it. They had to settle for a field goal, and it became an 8-point lead. And that's when I was like, they're not there yet. Meaning, like he as a coach,
well,
he's just throw out the playbook and do what makes sense for right now.
You are absolutely right, and he's trying to figure out also what player steps up in that type of game, in that time in the game. Who are my go-to guys? Who can execute the play when it's the critical time? Right. I mean, again, we're going to go back to the great John Wooden. A great play is not a great play if the players can't execute it. So he needs to figure out who those players are, and he needs to figure out what he can and can't do too. The great coaches will tell you they coach themselves, and they will look at their own trends, and how do I break those trends?
I think, we saw a lot of confidence being exhibited by the Dolphins, especially on offense in that game. And as you said, against a very good team. So I came away encouraged. I did watch the Green Bay game. I mean, any degenerate gambler will tell you that the team coming off a Monday night game and then traveling the ensuing week is usually dead meat.
Yep.
Worthy of considering laying even a substantial number of points against. It's 4 and a hook in favor of the Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not sure what substance he is on. He seems sort of, he's involved and yet he's completely detached. I guess.
And I feel the same way about Brady. Brady kind of the same way. And you know what? I think for Rodgers there is. I may be wrong. I really may be wrong on this, but from the fandom standpoint, fans, okay, I want this clear, fans. I don't know how many people are feeling sorry for Tommy B. I just don't know. And some of for him to have left the locker room without showering, and not talking to the media. I was like, come on,
He's like a little
man,
kid.
you're 45 years old. Grow up. You're 45. You should
One
be
of
able
the
to
more,
handle this stuff.
I mean, arguably the most fabled quarterback in NFL
Yeah.
history.
Oh yeah.
And at 45, with everything going for you, I mean, but I do believe that here's Ed Garcia. He's traveling to Colombia, and I'm not sure which country would rate higher in terms of being able to actually deliver on laying a curse on somebody if you went to the right people in the right mountains or whatever. But I believe Giselle laid a curse on Tom Brady. That third quarter, I'm watching it in stunned disbelief.
Absolutely.
As the Bucks, who had, I mean, and you're looking at the Bucks roster, it's not like they have like gefilte fish on there
Oh, not
in the receiving corps.
Yeah. No.
So if you're going to do that short passing game, which Brady has excelled at his whole career and still has it for that, he's great, and they got the guys that can make all of these tough catches. And yet, I mean, that third quarter, he had like a pick, a fumble, some other atrocity. And before you know it, Cincinnati, which was doing nothing in this ball game, they're back in the game and in complete control.
So here's the question: does Brady decide, okay, that's it, or does he say, I can't leave this as my last year of a legacy that I was?
I think it only gets worse, don't you?
I think it has.
I
to
agree.
They're not gonna
I
get
agree.
better.
I agree.
That
I
team's
agree. It only gets worse. The only thing he can do for his legacy now is
just
color it
He
a
should
little bit.
quit mid-season. He really should.
You know,
He shouldn't even bother to
but
play it out, even though in that
what-
horrendous division they're in
Listen,
first place and a playoff team right now.
Greg Olson didn't mince his words. He goes, I'm just a play setter for when Tom gets done. You know.
Oh
basically.
yeah. Oh, that's.
Oh
what it is.
yeah. Plus, I mean, what incentive does he has to go out there and play lousy football, losing football?
I don't get it.
Here's a trivia question to part with here. I saw this on TV, and I would have had the answer. Okay, Rex Ryan got the answer correct, and it makes perfect sense. This is Tom Brady's, I believe, first ever 8-loss season.
Oh wow, really?
Okay, first ever 8-loss season. And the question was, what quarterback in NFL history had the most 8-loss seasons as a starter?
Oh Jesus.
And if you think about it for a while, the answer, is sort of obvious, but you got to think about it for a sec. What do you think, Tony?
I have no idea.
A great Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yes, of course, because he had to be around for a long time, to lose that many games.
Namath.
Is it Namath? I was going to say.
No, they didn't lose a lot. They didn't have a big.
I'm just spreading out names.
You're sort of in the ballpark, but I'm going to give it to you because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Archie Manning was the answer.
Archie Manning. Wow.
Played a long time for lousy teams.
That's about as obvious. You know what? You're absolutely right.
I thought it was sort of obvious.
Makes perfect sense.
Vinny Testaverde ranks second in that category.
Yeah, I believe that too. Yeah.
Starting quarterback for 8-loss teams, the most. All right, Tony, you have a merry one. I hope you guys have fun.
Happy Hanukkah. I hope everybody enjoys.
Yeah, we're lighting candles here. And,
their eggnog. I love egg. We love eggnog here. And what did you call it? Cocosito?
Coquito is
Coquito.
Dominicans do it. Puerto Ricans do it. I know other Latin countries do it.
All right,
love you guys.
Really
grateful
Thanks,
and
thankful.
Thankful for you guys, and have a
Are
wonderful.
you going to be
Christmas
in an orange jacket and be part of the Orange Bowl festivities?
I will be there for the Orange Bowl game, and then be right back here for New Year's Eve.
Oh, nice.
Well, we'll talk to you next Wednesday. So we love you.
All right, Tony. Thanks so much, man. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen, old school. All right, tomorrow we'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge as part of the fanfare here.
He is in, so we are all in for the rest of our week.
Okay, and then Friday, our Degenerate Friday to close it out. Later on today, Mike Mayo with the lunchbox going to be at the Even Keel Fish Shack. That's commercial in A1A, Lauderdale by the Sea. I'm going to try and hobble my way out there, and hopefully we'll have some fun on that. Always great because the food there is dynamite, so stop on by and say hello. And for Mike Lubie Limits, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next time as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.